All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Monday, November 21st, 2022. If you're not done so already, give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, another snooze fest in the market here. So if we take a look at the spiders on the daily, it's just been a shop fest, really, for the better part of the last week. Really 2 weeks, ever since that kind of last Friday kind of push we got after the big move off of CPI on the 10th of November. It's really just been in a range here over the last several days. And if we notice, the volume here is extremely, and I mean extremely light. So this is, something we talked about last week. Are we going to get holiday volume into the market this week? And it looks like that is now here. So again, take every type of move here with a grain of salt. I know we had a little bit of a, like this little sell candle we just had on the 10-minute here on the spiders. It looks impressive, and you see it there on the diamond there as well, but there's no volume behind it. Even right now, I mean, that was not even a million shares in a 10-minute period here. Now, it doesn't mean we can't, head a little bit lower here. Markets are kind of chopping around, but ultimately what this means to me is this is still just backing and filling. So you had a nice move up, and now you're just trading sideways here. And again, declining volume on the move up. If we look at the ES, again, we're still kind of in this channel here, but again, you've consolidated underneath that resistance area. So that tells me that a push up probably can, well, it'll get you through this topside trend line, but you might be able to break that 200 moving average. So if we consolidate enough, it's going to build pressure. So we're building pressure beneath resistance, which means we can, have a little bit more gas if and when it does push higher. And I think as this 20 moving average here continues to slope upward underneath price, and as soon as that catches up to price, that's going to be when you look for, a possible breakout here. And again, we got Tuesday, Wednesday, and then closed Thursday and a half day Friday. So maybe one more day of backing and filling Tuesday, and then, Wednesday before the holiday, they get us a float up. That's certainly a possibility. And then Friday will just be really a nothing burger. So I would give the market a general upside bias, a neutral to upside bias for sure on Friday, as long as it stays like this, if the volume stays like this, barring any geopolitical nonsense, Putin or somebody, there's always that chance, and that's really been the case all year long since January. So that certainly is a possibility. But right now, the market seems to be telling me that it doesn't care. So look at the volume here on the ES. It's been declining the last 4 or 5 days. And the same thing with the spiders here on the SPY. It's been really declining. So especially today, just under 40 million shares here at 3:36 p.m. So again, that's paltry volume. That is definitely holiday volume. So we're looking for, again, a neutral upside bias, and you have kind of a flag here on the daily time frame. So no reason to think that will really change here. And as you can see right now, markets just, even if that little micro dump here is starting to float back up, the Russell is, holding range there. So overall, no real problems in the market. I do think we will have more coming up here, maybe after this week. And if we look at, we flip over here, if I can get this on, there we go. 2s and 10s backing off again, so down almost 73 basis points here of an inversion. The 3-month 10-year did uptick a little bit, but still well inverted by 38, and then 5s and 30s and 10s and 30s also backing off a bit today too. So again, this is not a problem right now. The market's not telling us it is, but it will be in the future. It's an undefeated record, so that will be something to look at moving forward. But for right now, market is hanging in there, and we got to respect it. The volume is light, and you got to respect that. For the triple Qs here, I'm going to get rid of this trend line now. I think we've violated that too many times. And what I'm looking at now is really just this one here. And the reason why I like this is because it really coincides with that 200-day moving average. So again, same pattern here, up move, and we're kind of just chopping here bullish. Although the Qs are obviously notably weaker than the spiders, but still, if the spiders move up, the Qs are going to move up. But it could be a possible, target here. Again, I've been telling you right around that 300 handle would be kind of a good natural resistance, that whole round number. And you'd logically think that, let's say we consolidate another couple days and we push up, that trend line is down sloping. So it may meet right around that 300 area. So that could be a level here to watch on the triple Qs. moving forward, but just wanted to make that little update there, as that we violated that previous blue trend line too many times here. But overall, target is still about the same, right around that 300 area there on the triple Qs if we were to continue higher. Semiconductors here via the SMH, again, down 1.6%. It is leading a little bit to the downside, but again, take a look at the volume here, guys. This is way, way, way below normal. And ultimately, this pattern is just, again, an up move and then choppy consolidation, basically right on this trend line. So nothing to say this can't push up again. There is still a lot of resistance there at that 200 moving average, but the longer this consolidates, the more gas it could have. I don't really see it getting through 235, 238 though, at least not without a lot more work to be done on the daily time frame. But again, semi's holding up. It's holding that low. In fact, we have never even tested it today. But again, it is notably on the weaker side, as is cloud software, down 1.2%. Back below the 20 and the 50 moving average. So again, tech still on the weaker side here, and overall not a good sign here. You want to see tech leading, and it's not right now. So I think that's fundamentally a problem moving forward. But again, right now, in the micro, in the short term, with the volume so light and the big boys obviously away on holiday, you got to give the market a little bit of an upside bias here. So that's really the bottom line. Dow Transport's again up 17 basis points right now. So up in a down market, the Dow Transport has actually been leading nicely. When this stops leading, and the semiconductors and assuming semis and say cloud are still weak, that will be kind of your signal here that the market is probably ready for a correction or possibly another move lower, an actual move lower, a big leg lower. But for right now, Dow Transport's holding up. I still give them the upside bias to about 15,000. I think that's where it ultimately wants to go. And then we'll see what it does after that. But again, Dow Transport's holding up well, and definitely want to respect that here moving forward. Let's look at the TNX here. So we mentioned the yield curves here. Again, rates basically, if I can get the right symbol here. Yeah, basically, rates basically flat here. TNX up 18 basis points. Let's not make too much out of that. And the same thing with the 30-year. That was up a lot more earlier. That did fade off the highs quite a bit here as we get closer to the afternoon. And sorry, I think our swim is probably need to restart this right now, but yeah, there you go. So a little bit of an inside bar here building up on the 30-year. Maybe it does push a little bit lower. Again, I said around 3.8 would be good support. It's basically just holding that 50 moving average right now. But again, the market is so thin right now. I can't make a whole lot out of this price action. Anyways, XHB. Again, nice inside bar, no problem with that. I still like this for a move up. Same thing with the ITB, so basically the same pattern there. Again, I told you guys that can get to about the 65 handle here, so we'll see if that does play out. As far as the VNQ, so real estate, same pattern. Again, just up move, inside bar. I like that test candle there on the daily, and it's holding up well. It's actually in the green today in a down market, so holding up reasonably well, and again, I still give it the upside bias to about that 93.50 to 94 handle. Over here too, financials, XLF, again, more backing and filling, same thing on XBD. Let's not make too much out of it. Still holding pattern, no real issues. Crude. So OPEC did actually, I gotta get this right because, so it was a production increase, if I'm not mistaken. Because I already got this wrong earlier. Yeah, so a production increase, which is not what the market expected, but it ended up being a buy the news event anyway. Yeah, it's confusing because they increased production, but prices back up. So we had increased production, the market dumped, and then it ended up being a buy the dip. So oil actually behaving well right here, and I do like that. Whenever you have bad news and something rallies up, almost basically got to my trend line. I did not pick this up here. I just don't like how it closed below that green bar low here on the weekly. If you had held that on a weekly basis last Friday, I definitely would have bought this already today. That just is a little bit of a sign of weakness here today. And really, I'm getting kind of a mixed signal because on one hand, we have, twos and tens inverted by 73 basis points. We have, the market looking to price in a slowdown. crude has been weak lately, but now today it's showing resiliency. I'm not getting a clear read here, and whenever I see that, I'd rather just sit on the sidelines. Let somebody else play with it. If you want to FOMO into it, go ahead. But for me, I don't. It's just I'm not seeing enough on either side, because I see the one hand, yes, the supply, the capex, obviously long-term fundamentally, oil and oil products are have a really bullish case. But near term, is the market pricing in enough of a slowdown that it's going to put pressure on price? And now I'm seeing today, obviously production increase, which is a surprise, but then oil kind of bounces anyway. So I'm not getting a really good signal here. I'd rather just sit it out until I see a clear picture. Honestly, that's just really the way that I'm playing it here. I just don't like it when I see that many mixed signals. I want to have an unfair advantage when I take a trade. And right now, I don't see that right now. But crude, for all intents and purposes, you basically touched that trend line. And again, the trend line's not perfect. You could make a case it was, could have been up 5 more cents or something like that. But it's going through this pivot here from March of last year, and you can see that's basically where it went. Again, you could make a case. In fact, I could probably just adjust this trend line at this point, because that's where it went to. And that's obviously the level that reacted off of it. But in any case, I'm kind of neutral on crude right now. I don't really see anything that's really enticing in either regard. Anyways, XLE here. Again, did bounce up with crude after selling off initially. Again, that little pivot there ended up holding. I do think you've done technical damage, though, to this rising wedge pattern here on XLE. So I do think it probably gets another little bid here, possibly another rally up, maybe into 92.50, maybe a little bit higher. But will be interesting to see if can it make a higher high? Can it get back above this trend line? Can it get back above this trend line? So a little bit of technical damage there on the XLE, so that is noteworthy to me. XOP as well did back off, and you did make a lower low there. Again, nothing major. There's nothing terribly broken here. Still holding trend pretty nicely, but again, these oil companies, oil stocks did back off of those levels there, and then you can see the OIH here as well with the same thing. That did actually break the 20 moving average. So again, pretty big sell-off there, and again, nice rebound, held the 290 level. I think this ultimately wants to go back down to about 260, but again, nothing to say it can't rally here in the short term. Nat gas with a nice move up today, up 6%. So we'll see what it does here. It's holding that, bears are holding the 200 moving average right now. Again, I don't really love the pattern either way. We'll see what it does here. I would prefer another dip here before I get involved into it. I'm not going to chase it higher. Dollar index, nice outside day, so up almost 1% on the day. Resistance should be up here at 109, 20 moving average, 100 moving average. That crossover, that necktie, if you get up into there, I would expect that to be held at least on the first try. So that's 109, 109.50, and then you got these pivots here as well. So support becomes resistance. We'll see what it does there, but dollar index with a pretty nice move up today. That is putting pressure on gold, but ultimately gold holding up well. I could see it going a little bit lower here, but this isn't a terrible pullback pattern here. And the same thing on silver, holding that 20 moving average. I still have a $23 price target on spot silver. Platinum, nice move here into the 20 moving average. This could be a buy for a quick pop here. Ultimately, I think it wants to go lower, but this is a nice, I like this setup here on platinum for a quick long, maybe at least till 1025, 1030. So basically about half of this move from 1075 to 975, somewhere in that area. I do like platinum for a little pop if you're aggressive. Then copper, a little bit more on the weaker side than the other metals. Again, pricing in more of a slowdown here, and I don't like that it reversed that green bar there on the weekly. That's almost an engulfing reversal on the weekly. So not a great look there. Possible fake breakout to watch there for copper. Anyways, Bitcoin, a little bit of this, one of the few things that actually had some action today outside of crude and nat gas, I guess, but Bitcoin actually dipping down. So trying to break down on this inside bar here. If we look on the hourly, really was kind of flat all day long, and then over the last hour or so, it really started to break down. It's starting to bid back up. The only thing I'll say is I don't know if this is quite ready to dump yet. It'll be interesting how this plays out into the holidays. Do they flush it into the holidays and try to ruin everybody's day here? They could. And again, the market's thin, so it really wouldn't take much money here. Maybe it's a little bit of a shakeout. Again, we tested that lows. We got to bounce off of it. So if you can get back above 16.5, this could possibly squeeze up into that 18,000 area. I wouldn't rule that out here in the near term, but Bitcoin did dip over the last hour or so, and it is getting a bounce. We'll watch for that. If you do break this level, then you have a lot of real estate down to 12, maybe 11,000. So just be aware of that. But for right now, it's hanging in there okay, and it's trying to hold this low. So we'll see how that works out for the rest of the week. Outside of that, again, market's just backing and filling here. Let's not make too much out of it. Spider's trying to kind of get a little bit of a bid here. The Russell's holding up okay. Yeah, again, that little fade we had there 20 minutes ago, look at how they're buying it right back up. It's very, when the volume's this thin, it's very easy for them to push it. And look what they're doing to the VIX, by the way. They're just pushing this down. There's not a lot of volatility priced in. There's not a lot of volatility expected. It's a holiday week. VIX getting hit pretty hard, down 3% on the day. I do think it wants to go down to this lower trend line, possibly to that 20 to 21 area. If it gets there, that could be a explosion level, possibly. But we have to see what it looks like if and when it does happen. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.